You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Dewar. Brought to you by Con Communications.
Well, a happy Easter weekend to each and every one of you. This is, of course, Overtime, your extended guide to all that is local sports. And thanks to Sunday's blizzard, the spring sports season has gotten off to a bit of an extended snow break, which makes this a bit of a working holiday for teams that have been severely deprived of precious games, even precious practice reps to this point. Foremost among them, the Liberty baseball team playing its first game of the season today. Dewey Hansel's club sending its ace, Lane Hansel, to the mound today, and he looked like he had no ring rust on him. Great start for him. In the top of the first, strikes out the side against Camp Point Central, and then the offense would pick things up, or at least it would start to look that way. Tyler Orman trying to jumpstart the season. Great piece of hitting, but look at the play out in center field. Snared very nicely. The Panther defense standing up at that point. However, a two-out rally would take place for the Liberty Eagles in this one. Lane Hansel getting it started with a triple into the gap. The kid is quite fast and swings a most malicious bat. That would set the table after that guy, Mr. Lane Hansel, would score on a pass ball for this. Beautiful piece of hitting. First swing of the season for Kyle Lynch, and it is a spectacular one as he would leave the yard right into the Gulf Stream right there. Two-run homer at that point made it 3-0 after one inning in favor of the Eagles. They're not done scoring yet. Bottom of the second, bases loaded again. This time it's Lane Hansel doing work on his own accord. A two-run single that he actually stretched into a double at that point. Extended the lead at that point to 6-0 in favor of Liberty. More to come right here. Ike Murfin puts the ball in play. That would score Kobe Brown, made it a 7-0 lead for the Eagles. They just kept coming in this game. And the hero of the game, Kyle Lynch, his second swing of the bat nearly goes where the first one did, just shy of back-to-back home runs for him. He ends the day 3 for 3 at the plate. 4 RBIs as the Liberty Eagles open their season with the most impressive victory, 12-0 in the first game of the Twin Bill. The second game would go Central's way. Seth Leeser with a big 2 RBI single in that ball game, and that was kind of the difference in this one as Camp Point Central forces the split today. 6-4 would be your final. Let us take you now to Galesburg. The Quincy High Blue Devils, Brigham John's team, taking on North Boone after a loss earlier in the day, trying to bounce back. The offense already up 4-1 at this point, looking to add more in the second. Mason Fairley with a single to right field. And that would set the table for Andrew Eilers. The pitching sensation yesterday swings a mean bat right here. He'll serve it up your way right there. The infield single gets things started as well. Then both runners would eventually advance thanks to a absolutely perfect butt right here by Brad Umazig right there. Drops that down, makes it work. Alex Million trying to drive those guys home. He comes up just shy of that goal as the shortstop here going to make a fantastic play to deny the Blue Devils any more runs. Didn't matter. Mason Fairley going to shut down North Boone every way possible on the hill today. Absolutely dominant with his A-level stuff. Future Lindenwood player looked like it today. Great strikeout right here in the 5th inning. Now 4-2 Quincy High. Runner on third for North Boone in the 6th. Again, Fairley gets out of the jam, going down low in the strike zone and working at the knees. It's a tough place for any hitter to hit. Mr. Fairley picks up the victory today. The Blue Devils pick up the split today as they beat North Boone. Final count in this one was 4-2 in favor of Quincy High School. Earlier in the day, though, against Alleman, things did not go at all well with the pitching staff for Quincy High as they dropped an ugly one. 14-9 was your final there. Speaking of, well, there wasn't a whole lot of pitching today. This was a hitter's paradise between Macomb and Porta in both games of the doubleheader. Bottom of the first game, tied at 1, Garrett Klein, who would later hit a home run in this game, singles to short center. Dylan Hinman is going to score and put Macomb up for good, 2-1 in this one. But there'll be plenty more runs scoring. Same inning, bases loaded for Alec Drake. He singles down the left field line. Brett Taylor and Ben Brown would score, makes it 4-1 Macomb at that point. Bases loaded later, this time for Max Dakin. He's going to line a single off the shortstop's glove. Klein and Drake score. It's now 6-1 Macomb Bombers. Porter would get a few runs back in the second inning, but Brett Taylor was able to silence them on the hill. He also added a pair of home runs today. Big hitting day for the big fella as Macomb wins big in this one. 13-10 in the first game of the doubleheader. The second game went just the same and just as well, in fact. Not maybe as many runs, but plenty of them as Ben Brown delivers 5 RBIs in Macomb's 9-7 sweep of Porta. Grant Hannett, the freshman pitcher, gets credit for the victory in that one as well. Also on the day, Beardstown taking on South Fulton and getting swept today by a very good South Fulton team. 6-4 in the first game, despite the hitting heroics of John Kramer, and 3-0 in the second game. Jordan Baer of South Fulton, a pitching gem today, twirled one. Gave up a 3-hitter, went the complete distance, struck out 9 Beardstown batters. Pittsfield on the road today taking on Calhoun, a split as the Saukeys win game number 1 8-3. They end up losing game number 2 9-6. Also on the docket today, how about this? Western today drops one to Brussels in the first game of a doubleheader. Great piece of hitting, though, in the second game by Noah Lynch. The big fellow went 3 for 3 at the plate with a double and 4 RBIs to power his team to the split today as Western bounces back and wins by the final count of 16-6. Anawan Wethersfield jumps all over West Prairie today, shutting them out in both games of the doubleheader. 10-0 and 13-0 were your finals there. Let us move on now to softball. Liberty at home today. Steve Bike's crew taking on a very good Illini West squad. Elise Trout was going to get things started in this one early on in the top of the third with a little gap wedge to right field. That's going to be just enough to score Madison Schuster, and that makes it a 1-0 Charger lead at that juncture. Later, it's going to be Mackenzie Anderson. She's going to hit a nice little rip to right field right there. Addison Ufkes, she had a tough day taking a bunch of balls to the helmet today. The couple of shots and not a lot of good stuff right there, but she ends up scoring to make it a 2-0 lead at that point, sliding home nicely there. The Chargers threatening more, but look at the great play at short by Katie Klaus. Snares one and pulls off the 6-3 double play at that point. How about the pitching, though, for Illini West? Really good in this one, as Mackenzie Moorman was just absolutely dealing in this one. Ended up the day, I believe, with 10 strikeouts, so that's pretty darn good doing on the hill. Later, Mackenzie Anderson again, this time the sac fly to extend the lead out to 3-0 as Elise Trout just barely beats the throw home. That's a 3-0 lead. Trout also big on defense behind the plate today. Absolute cannon shot from her catcher's position down to second base to get the intended base stealer. And Madison Schuster going to add one more RBI to the 4-0 cause. That's how it would end. Great pitching effort by Mackenzie Moorman as Illini West gets the win in game number 1, 4-0, and then goes on to pull off the sweep today, 2-1 in the second game. Madison Schuster moves to the hill in that one, strikes out 13 as Illini West gets the 2-1 victory there. Didn't have a whole lot of softball, but a few scores to pass along. Beardstown stays red hot early today, beating New Berlin 6-5. Mackenzie Eisnagel with a home run in that ball game, but then Jacksonville would turn around and get Beardstown 8-7 today. Ashlyn Myers did it all for the Lady Crimsons today. She got the win on the hill, also went 3 for 4 at the plate and hit a home run as well, a rocket shot, and added 3 RBIs to the cause as Jacksonville gets that win, quality win, 8-7. Meanwhile, Brussels today, no match for Rachel Motley and Western. Rachel gets the win on the hill with 11 strikeouts. She had 3 hits on the day and 3 at-bats, a home run, a triple, and a single. Just missed a double for the cycle. Good showing from her. And finally, in softball today, Anawan Wethersfield sweeps a pair from West Prairie, 4-2 and 7-0. We also had soccer today. Quincy High School having some scoring problems of late. They would strike back and strike back big against Rock Island today. Great setup right here on the one-timer as Taylor Eisenberg goes right foot volley to put that home and to put Quincy High at that point up 2-0. Worth a look in slow motion as Taylor Eisenberg catches it clean. Just like kind of the widget shot right there. Beautiful stuff for her. That made it 2-0. And then it was time for Kaylee Kuhlman to take over. Made a couple of phenomenal runs late in the first half in this one as no one could match her speed. Scores here to make it 3-0. A minute and 45 later, I think she does the exact same thing. In fact, she does. Not quite the cleanest of runs, but Kaylee Kuhlman will make it look good and punch her team up at that point to a 4-0 lead. The Blue Devils bounce back, get the nice victory today. They end up winning by the final count over Rock Island. 5-0 was how that ball game would end up. And we're just getting started here on the Big Overtime Show. We've got plenty more for you, including all the college days happenings and boxing tonight from America's hometown. That's coming up next.
You're watching KHQA Overtime with Chris Dewar. Brought to you by Con Communications.
And welcome back to Overtime. He's not even 10 years old yet, but already Hannibal's Cullen Arch is a 3-time state Missouri wrestling champion. He did it again today. He and his teammates taking a state championship today and looking really good in the offing as both he and Carter Smith in the 10-year-old 65-pound division, I should say, win state championships today. The Hannibal team, a champion as well. Our congratulations is the great legacy of grapplers in America's hometown continues on. Well, it's time now to unveil our final Con Communications Connection nominee for the month of March. As is our custom, we give you 4 or 5 outstanding sports couplings to deem the best of the month. Your vote alone determines the best highlight of all. And as an added incentive for you to go to our website to cast your ballot, every single voter is thrown in to have the hat for a drawing that nets the winner a great prize package from Con Communications. Now, we thought this week, because of all the weather, we'd give you something a little rare. We don't see this every day. This is Quincy Notre Dame's Allison Tappy hitting a long double in her efforts to lead her team to victory over Liberty. The interesting part of this, and again, this was a slow week, but this was kind of different. The interesting part of this is look at where this ball lands in a field of snow. We don't get that very often in spring sports season, nor do we get it in softball very often at all, but that is indeed your snow cone of the year from Allison Tappy. It's not a great offering, but again, we didn't have a whole lot to offer, and Allison Tappy had a great game, so credit that to it. Coming up a little later this week, you can vote on all the nominees, and if you're a fan of snow or Allison Tappy, there's one to choose from as well. We'll leave it at that, folks. Let's move on to college baseball today. We had scores to pass along. Great weekend shaping up this Easter for the Quincy University Hawks as Josh Raby's team takes a pair of victories on the road at Rockhurst. Against Rockhurst in the first game, 17 singles, no extra base hits. That's what you call station-to-station baseball. Effective, though, as the Hawks pound out 10 runs and then bounce back in game number 2 to beat Rockhurst 5-2. Drake Austin with a triple and an RBI to fuel that victory. Quincy University will try to wrap up a really big weekend coming up tomorrow. Also on the docket today, Western Illinois moving on to the University of Illinois Chicago and losing today despite a career-best pitching effort from Tom Constant in the loss. Got no run support. He did strike out 8. He did go 7 full innings, but again, to no avail. Also on the day, Truman State gets a big win today on the road at Pittsburgh State. 6-5 your final. The hot hitting continues for Hannibal product Paul Trenhale, who went 1 for 4 on the day, had another double, 2 RBIs for this series against Pittsburgh State. Paul Trenhale hit over 500. Yeah, I believe he's over now 420 for the season overall. So Hannibal's finest certainly showing out as we speak right now for the Truman State baseball team. Also, John Wood today playing a pair against Parkland. The late game did not go well, 11-9 in favor of the Cobras. How about the early game, though? We have highlights from that one today, courtesy of our friends over in Champaign, as John Wood was taking on Parkland, and it would be the John Wood defense stepping up first right here. Parkland at bat, but look at Matt Merrick at first base, getting the great force play right there. Then Christian Bunch would help put his team up right here, 1-0, singling to right center field. That scores Frank Moreno. Again, 1-0 Blazers. That would unfortunately be the Blazers' only run of the game. Christian Bunch behind the plate. He's going to throw out a runner here as well. Defense good. John Wood gave up 2 runs, however, and when you only score 1, that nets you a loss as John Wood's offense continues to struggle and the Blazers get swept on the road. 2-1 your final. I believe if you're looking for something to do on a lazy Easter afternoon, John Wood is at home tomorrow. Playing at least one, maybe a pair. Can't check that for sure, but I know they are in fact at home, so it might be good fun tomorrow if you need something to do on your Easter. How about some softball scores today? Day of mixed results for Quincy University, losing to Drury early 3-1 and bouncing back and winning by that same score. Monica Gray, big game in the second one, couple of RBIs there. Lauren Francis getting the win on the hill with 7 strikeouts for her team in that victory. Also in softball today, Knox College taking apart Illinois College and sweeping a pair, 14-9 in the first game. Second game wasn't much prettier or better as Knox College wins that one 7-3. We've also got for you maybe a little better news. No, Culver Stockton struggling against Baker today. 5-1 is your final in the first game, and Baker sweeping it 9-2 in the second. John Wood, here's your good news that we're getting to. John Wood with a sweep on the road at Spoon River today. 13-5 was your final in the first game. Second game, John Wood cleans up as well, 10-5 there. We had boxing tonight in America's hometown. This is Chucky Willis of Hannibal fighting at 140 pounds in the amateur division against Ken Wood of East Parkland. And Chucky with a straight left right there, dropping his man. That standing 8 count would be the beginning of the end for Mr. Wood. Just shortly later, Chucky again forces his man to the ropes. Ends up with a great right hand. He ended up with at least one of them flush, 2 for the knockout perhaps. Chucky gets the victory at 140 pounds. Nice win for him. Let's move down to the youngsters. 100 pounds today. Dakota Lassiter in the red corner. In the blue, you're looking right there at Donnie Reeves of Hannibal. 3-round bout. Reeves swarming early. Misses the big right, but recovers, gets inside on Mr. Lassiter and gets at least 2 beautiful punches in that exchange. More right here as Reeves the aggressor. Lassiter, though, on the ropes, ends up getting a straight right. here to get himself out of trouble eventually, but by that point, all the scoring had been done. Backs up Mr. Reeves at that point. Laster, though, trying to fight his way again off the ropes. Reeves won't let him go. Donnie Reeves going to be a really good boxer. Great form, great approach today, and just clean in this third round. Does take one bad shot. Got to get the gloves up, kid. But other than that, great offensive fighter, and the win goes to Mr. Reeves today on the decision. Very happy young man. And it was a family affair, not only for Donnie, but his father in this one. Andy fighting as well at 160 pounds later against Rory Marie. And look at Andy in the first round. Short right to the chin, drops his man in good position at that point. But after the standing 8 count was issued, Andy would take one himself right on the chin. So we've got ourselves an even match on the scorecards. But late in the third round, Andy fighting hard. I believe Andy's in his 40s. Great punch out for there. We go to the card, and Andy and Donnie both with decisions tonight. Talk about a family affair. The family that punches together stays together, I guess. We've got a nice story for you coming up on the Reeves a little later this week. As you can tell, very proud parents. Very proud young man of his father tonight, and rightly so. Good stuff tonight in the boxing. Wish we could have stayed later. The pro fights didn't start until about 8:15. Great stuff, though. If you ever get a chance to go check it out at the Admiral Koontz Armory, do that. Great dollar expenditure. And when we come back, we finish up basketball high school award season right here on the Overtime Show. That's next. And welcome back to Overtime. We wrap up high school basketball awards week here at KHQA. Right now, with one last look back at what was the best of this winter, our annual Plays of the Year segment as prepared by our own Ross Green. Enjoy, everybody.